What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Warp Factor Fiction. Whether you're watching this on our YouTube channel or listening to us on any podcast platform, thank you so much for your support. And if you are supporting on our Patreon and got this early, thank you even more. We really appreciate all that support. You can join up too. These are Patreon exclusive shows. We have other ones as well. And I am your host, Mick Manhattan, joined as always by now, if you caught our live special, he got a promotion. Lieutenant Junior Grade Thomas. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Well, actually, you requested, because once you become an officer, it is customary to call by your last name with a Mr. in front of it. So, Mr. Manhattan, how are you?
I'm doing good, Captain.
Thank you, sir.
How are you doing?
All right. I'm doing well. I got excited. We're in the Strange New Worlds now. This episode covers Strange New Worlds Season 1, episodes 1 through 5. And next week, we'll have 6 through 10. And then October, make sure to come back and check out Strange New World Season 2. But I'm excited, man. I'm really enjoying what I've seen so far. What do you think?
I've really liked it so far. I think it's been really good.
I cannot agree more. I like everybody that's a part of it. It's fun to see the Enterprise back in action. It's got that lighthearted, fun touch to it. And I'm overall just like really into it. I like Ethan Peck as Spock, who is a near and dear character to my heart. But to see Anson Mount really step in as Pike, he's quickly becoming one of my favorite captains.
Yes, he's really good in this. I think everybody is. But I think Ethan Peck and Anson Mount have been doing the best.
Yes, and then we do get some other familiar faces sort of show up throughout time. And it's very cool to see everyone sort of coming in and like that we know, of course, one of them being Celia Rose Gooding is playing Uhura, but she's a cadet at this point. This is about 10 years or so before Kirk takes over, and she's really catching her bearings under Pike.
Yeah, she's been doing well as well. I like her in it.
She's had a lot of really good B storylines so far, so I'm definitely enjoying it. I want to see where they take her character even more, because she is such a deep character in the lore of Star Trek.
I think the Doctor's been doing good as well. I don't think has he been introduced before. Yeah,
no, I've never heard of him before this. And Benga is his name in the show. That's his character's name. But I really like the layers. Everybody on the show, really, they add like a good layer to it. There's a familiarity to what we know in Star Trek. I like Lieutenant Ortegas, who's flying, the helmsman on it. Ensign Christine, played by Jennifer Hall, is great. And I really am enjoying Christina Chong as Noonien Singh, Lieutenant Noonien Singh.
Yes. I like Chapel as well. Chapel's been doing well.
Yeah, actually, it's been really cool to see Nurse Chapel come back. But for sure. But if you're ready, let's get into the first 5 episodes. How's it sound?
Yes.
All right. So the first episode of Strange New Worlds is called Strange New Worlds. In this episode, Captain Christopher Pike of the U.S.S. Enterprise is still suffering through seeing this future and where he ends up, which we all know as Star Trek fans. And if you don't know, I'm not going to ruin it for you at the moment. But he got a glimpse of his future on Discovery when he was introduced in season 2. And we talked about that in the last episodes. So in this episode, he kind of put himself in an exile. He doesn't want to go back out. But they need him for a mission. His number one, known as Una, who we knew was played by Michelle Barrett in the original unaired pilot, and now in this one is played by Rebecca Romaine, and doing a fantastic job in it. So he is called into action because they are captured on a planet where they're trying to make first contact. So his self-imposed exile is now over, and he's back at it as the captain. What did you think about this first episode?
I liked it. I really did. I feel like they could have started it a little differently, because I feel like they could have done in Pike's introduction more. Like, I feel like if they had added an episode where it's kind of just like Pike in exile, just like a little bit of showing what he is in exile, kind of like to start it, and then this be the second episode. I think that would have been cooler, but
see,
I liked it though.
I like this one. I think this one really showed you who Pike is, because in Discovery we get a really cool idea. We get this cool captain introduced in a cool show. It's different, and it's a famous name we've known for a long time. So to see this step in, and I love how they bookended it by starting him watching The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is a huge sci-fi movie directed by Robert Wise, who also directed the first Star Trek, the motion picture movie. So it was cool nod to that. Then you fast forward to the end, and he has to plead with these people and what they're doing and the the devastation they're causing. And he does it the only way he knows how, the same way he sees in The Day the Earth Stood Still. That pop culture really sparked with him. and he gives that speech. He lets them know who they are, what they can end up being, because he's seen it on Earth's history before. I love that, and it really nailed down who Pike was for me.
I like the way that they had the two people fighting, and then like with Pike in the middle, because it reminded me of the Doctor Who scene where Capaldi had like the two sides, like the humans and then the aliens, and like they were gonna go to war, but then like the Doctor stopped it. That I thought that was a cool aspect.
That's a great point. I like the correlation with Doctor Who for sure. I really did like this episode. It really established everybody in a really good way. It also kind of separated itself from where it was in Discovery, and a lot of problems that people had. Like, how do you go forward after that? What does it look like? You know, an entire ship and an entire crew in Starfleet is gone, and we're just sweeping it under the rug and everything that happened. But this takes off and it kind of goes in a direction that I really enjoy, like the original series did. And I really think I needed that. I needed that breath of fresh air that I got from Picard season 3 and this.
Who was your shining character?
Pike, hands down.
Yeah, it was Pike for me. Una was second, but it was Pike.
Una was great in it, but Pike won it out for me just again because of that correlation that he had between the day the Earth stood still. Yeah, the whole show episode really landed really well for me. I really liked it. And so you said Pike was your shining star in this. What was one of your favorite aspects of this episode?
It showed kind of like it was sort of like how it's going right now is how I took it. Like how the world is with the Kylie planet. And then like how we have, and how I took it, like how you have to step up and stop all the violence and such. It's kind of
at least stand against it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No, for sure. So, all right, let's move on to episode 2, Children of the Comet. That's right. An ancient alien relic thwarts the Enterprise crew from rerouting a comet on a track to strike an uninhabited planet. What did you think of this episode?
It was great. I think it was better than the first one, although I don't think it had as many like references to other series.
I don't think you could have done like this episode as the first one. It starts out really good. I think you needed that exiled Pike. It builds up the whole storyline of him, the whole major through line, and then also sets him apart as a captain who is, he's for the action when he needs to be, but he can be reserved, step back, and talk his way out. It was a very beautifully married version of like Jonathan Archer and Captain Kirk, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And in this episode, when he invites him to dinner and there's this whole thing to it and how he kind of plays this whole thing out, absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorites so far in the season.
Yeah. I don't think they could have started with this one because you didn't need that introduction. Mm-hmm. I think it was perfectly placed. They could have done it like on the third or fourth episode, but I think this was placed really well. I wish that they would have gone a little bit more into the story, like maybe instead of this just being a one-off. I think it would have been.
I kind of like the idea that it was a one-off. It reminds me a lot of those special episodes that we got in other series of Star Trek. One that draws to mind is the episode of Enterprise when they have to, they're going through the storm and they have to hide out in the nacelles, and like the entire, I don't know if you remember that episode, but the entire crew was there, and then they had the alien visitors there, and it became it was like this crazy sort of one-off adventure that really worked and told a good story and had a good message to it as well. Mm-hmm. Who was your shining character in this?
I think, again, it has to be either Pike or Spock. It was hard for me, but I have Pike on this, but it was either Pike or Spock.
I have Cadet Uhura. I think she shined really well. She did a great job as a linguist on this, but also dealing with so much more going on, being a cadet, kind of being charged in to the crew on the bridge. I really liked how she handled herself on this one.
Mm-hmm. So did I. I think she could have been like second or third. I don't know. I didn't see her as shining as much as the other two, but she was played really well in this.
For sure. All right, let's go on to episode 3, Ghosts of Illyria. That's right. Una must confront a secret she's been hiding when a contagion ravages the ship, incapacitating the rest of the crew, while Pike and Spock are trapped on the barren planet of Illyria during a storm. This was a really good episode. We got a good backstory to Noonien Singh. We got a good backstory to Una, and we learned that she's Illyrian and why that is such a big deal within Starfleet and the Federation in general. What did you think of this episode? It was a very contained episode, but I like that.
I like it. If there was one thing that was kind of like a little goof. But when Una ordered a shipwide blackout, you could see multiple. After that, you could see multiple running lights in like the quarters and ship corridors. So if they were trying to completely starve the people who wanted the illumination, they were failing.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, and I like where what you're saying, but I mean it is a goof. Let's suspension of disbelief kick in and just say they couldn't get it from that a little amount of light. Who's your shining star in this one?
Una.
Yeah, Una for me too. Noonien Singh was really good in it as well. So all right.
Yeah, I like the doctor as well.
Yeah, and Mbega was really good in this too. And we get more backstory to Mbenga as well as with his daughter and what's going on with her. So it kind of sparks a little bit of intrigue into him and who he is. And I like him so far as the doctor. I love that he's wearing the straight up shirt that Bones wears. Like that's the doctor shirt. So he is in it to win it. Because like even when you see Nurse Chapel in her nurse's outfit for Starfleet, is very different from the outfit that we got in the original series. A very different look and such. So I like it. Don't get me wrong. I don't care about the change, but I really like that they kept the doctor in the original series outfit, all of it. Like it just looks fantastic. But
and I'm in my doctor getup.
You got your blues on, man. You got to put on your insignia and you'll be good to go. I unfortunately do not have one of our awesome snobsmerch.com Star Trek shirts. I have on a horror snob shirt today because I was recording one of our horror shows. So I'm sticking with this for today, but you can get this and other awesome designs over on snobsmerch.com. Plug. Thank you. Anyway, so Una was our shining star in this episode. What was one of the big things that you really loved about this episode?
I kind of like Chief Kyle in it as well. I like the transporter chief. I like the character, even though he doesn't really do much. I just like the character.
Yeah, for me, I really like the character as well. I'm definitely with you on that. But one of my favorite things in this episode was seeing Spock and Pike really having to work together. But like, you can tell they're friends. You can tell there's respect for each other. They've been through a lot together, but there's still enough to learn about each other, or learn from each other. So I like that aspect. I thought they did a really good job isolating those two, so Una could shine in the episode. All right. Let's go on to episode 4, and our second to last episode on this episode of Warp Factor Fiction. Pike must find unconventional Starfleet methods to deal with a malevolent force that attacks the Enterprise. Let's talk about this episode. What did you think about it? I really like this episode.
Yeah, so did I.
So, what were some of your favorite things?
I like the way the Gorn.
Yep. Yeah.
And I also like how Noonien Singh, how she's like, I just told them that humans boarded and took over the ship. At least I hope I did. I like that quote. It was funny.
Yeah, I really liked, and again, because we knew she had talked about like how her family was attacked by the Gorn, and like she has a good working understanding of them and their species. And when they're attacking, we've never really seen the Gorn before in this world, in this universe. Of course, as Star Trek fans, we've seen the Gorn quite a few times. So for this to actually have them in action attacking, I thought was really cool. It seemed like a good threat. It seems like a good villain to kind of have presence, because you can't really use the Klingons. You can, and honestly, after the war, it makes more sense why the Klingons are like quiet for a long time, because they were very quiet in the original series. You don't see them much in the original series at all. They're just like sort of a force that's out there. And then you have this that, we've got our good explanation, but I like the Gorn being sort of a threatening replacement right now. All right, who is your shining character for episode 4?
I'm going to say it was either Dr. Mabenga or Noonien Singh. Noonien Singh probably shined more, but I liked Dr. Mabenga more in it, so I'm going to say Mabenga. But even though Noonien Singh did have a bigger role.
Both great choices. Noonien Singh, I like. She did shine really well, but Spock for me was the shining character in this one. Stood out, and I really enjoyed where he went with it. But we are moving on to episode 5 and the final episode of this episode. Make sure to join us next week, so that way you can see episodes 6 through 10, and we'll cover all that as well. So episode 5 is Spock Amok. Now, if you remember, Amok Time was an episode that was very famous in the original series. We found out what Ponfar is, what the Vulcans go through in terms of puberty and mating and, getting married and how it affects them. Well, we get an earlier glimpse, sort of a prequel of sorts to this, where we have a personal visit that causes a comedy of errors during Spock and Pike's crucial negotiations with an unusual alien species. The species is very much a type of species, without giving too much away, somebody that kind of mirrors who they're talking to. And they don't really like Pike to begin with. So they want to talk to Spock, a Vulcan, who is very logical. And his body gets transferred into his soon-to-be wife's body. And it does become a comedy of errors. I thought it was a fun episode. I didn't mind this too much. What did you think of this episode, Tom?
I think it was funny. It was very funny to me. I think this was supposed to be more of like the humorous episode of the season. I also thought it was really well acted as well.
Yeah, I thought they did such a fantastic job. Spock, of course, is my shining character. I'm just going to say that right out of the bat. But yeah, I thought they did a good job. I love the way Pike kind of reacted to finding out this information. Like, okay, he's still cool about it. He's still got to figure out. He has a problem to figure out. So this will wait right now. We just have to figure out how this works for us. And I loved how it all played out. So for you, in this, what does this episode really fall? Is it like one of your favorites?
Yeah, I think it was really funny. And it was probably one of my favorites. And I do have one question. Which Spock was your shining character? The Spock or the T'Pring Spock? Like T'Pring in Spock's body, or like Spock?
I'm going to have to give it to both of them. I know T'Pring's not really a bridge character, and we usually stick with the bridge characters, but we've given it to Mega, and he's not a bridge character. I'm going to give it to both of them. T'Pring and Spock deserve it. They did a great job. And actually, because we don't see T'Pring that often in the original series, so there's no real attachment, it's a muck time where you really get introduced to her and what the backstory is. This added a whole new layer that I really enjoyed about it.
I gotta go with the same shining character as you. I think both of them.
So overall, we're halfway through the season. What do you think of it? How's it look? Are you excited to kind of continue, keep going?
Yes, I'm very excited to continue and keep going with it. I think season 2 is going to be really good as well, and I really hope they make a season 3.
I'm right there with you, my friend. They are, in fact, doing that after the strike is over. They said they're ready to get started. I'm excited for it. I think Strange New Worlds is a great show. It really encompasses the joy factor that Star Trek has always held. Like, a lot of people tend to mark on that stoicism and kind of what kind of show it is. I think this show is a perfect example of what Star Trek really is. It's smart, it's fun, it's witty, it's comical. They go all over the place. You're not just going to get dry storylines that are throughout. You're going to have different monsters of the week sometimes, and it's always going to be a good time.
I really like the Star Trek monsters of the week. Like, the Star Trek monsters of the week are like really good, much better, I think, than almost every other monster of the week that they can do.
I'm excited for when you get to the original series. I want to see what you think of that, and that's coming up soon. So until next time, guys, make sure to check out Warp Factor Fiction. It is available on our YouTube channel and available in our in any podcast platform a month after it premieres on our Patreon. So all of our patrons get early access to all of our stuff that's pre-recorded or specialized shows like this. So go check it out. We have tons of other perks as well, and we'd love to have you on part of the Snob Nation community. Join up on our Discord, join up on our Facebook group. Let's talk about it there, and follow us on social media. But you got to know when it's coming out. So you got to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. So that way you know when everything's coming out. Anyway, take it away, Lieutenant Junior Grade Tommy. Thank you so much for being my partner on this ride. Take us out, and we will talk to you soon.
Live long and prosper. See you soon.
That's right, everybody. See you soon. Until next time, take care.